All right. Good afternoon, podcast folks and Facebook Live people. Welcome to another episode of Things My Mother Never Told Me. Tynia, say hi to the people.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in.
We have another one of our special guests, another one who we've been keeping track of for a very long time. How you doing, Matthew?
Woo.
Good. How are you doing?
We're doing real good.
Wonderful.
As we talked while we were getting set up, we're going to read your bio, and then we're going to jump into this. We're going to let you tell your story.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Let's welcome Matthew Brandon Warren. Being Matthew Darren Brandon Warren, ain't that something? Has several layers that can be viewed in Detroit in different lenses. Black man who is faith-based, mentor, first-generation student, Detroit native, friend, son, and much more. To simply say it, he is a young man with a humble heart. A 2013 graduate of Renaissance High School. Yeah. Matthew excelled at Central Michigan University, where he obtained a bachelor's of political science, public administration in May 2017, and master's of higher education and administration, May 2019. At age 23, he began his career journey at CMU as an assistant director of undergraduate admissions, overseeing 10 Michigan recruitment counties, campus visit presentations, and various other activities. Wonderful. Most notably representing the university at the 2019 110th NAACP National Convention. Matthew now serves as the Assistant Director of Employee Relations in the CMU Career Development Center. In this role, he connects corporate representatives from across the country with student talent through tailored engagement activities to promote internships and full-time career opportunities. Also, he is a first semester instructor in the Pathways to Student Success First Year Experience Program. This course is geared toward the first year completion and second year retention of multicultural first generation students. Today, he has grown to wear many hats, but his favorite is being a mentor to young men of color and as they transition into college and beyond. What a task. All right now. Let's welcome Matthew.
Hey, Matthew.
Thank you for having me. It's great. I'm always watching, but it's great to be on.
Well, it's good to have you on, no doubt. When I was reading your bio, I said, that's a whole lot of stuff at such a young age. So right. So you went to Renaissance, right?
Yes.
Right.
I went to Renaissance.
Yeah. And we got to give a plug out. You're a son of New Prospect Missionary Baptist Church.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Good high school.
Right. Good high school. Good church.
Yeah. Good church.
So,
right about that.
So we got your high school, because we always like to talk about education and Renaissance, so that speaks for itself.
Mm-hmm. We like to just represent those, let the people know that, DPS has some great students coming up out of there.
Yes, they do, without a doubt. And so, well, let's see. First generation college students, that is?
Yes.
How did that feel?
Pressure.
Very pressure and very eye-opening. I remember my first job on campus. It was second semester freshman year, and I'm sitting at the front desk going through training, and one of my one of my peers looks at me and they're like, well, you don't sound like a Detroit person. And I said, okay, well, what is a Detroit person supposed to sound like? We talk like a rap video. And they were like, oh, well, no. You just sound so proper. And I said, well, growing up, with my grandmother in the house, I wasn't allowed to speak slang. If I said something wrong, I had to correct myself. Being active in church, you had to, speak a certain way. So I knew how to enunciate all my vowels and consonants.
Wonderful.
And then, there was this whole thing of, well, you're not from Detroit. You're from, the suburbs. And I said, no, I'm from Detroit. So going through all those things in the first year, I'm like, wow, this is very different, because coming from Renaissance and coming from New Prospect, my whole world was Black until I graduated and went to CMU. Yes. I was all set to actually go to Hampton in Virginia. I was going to be a political science major there. I wanted to intern with Obama at the White House, but
Right.
Getting my financial aid, there was a $11,000 family contribution that my family had to put in. And CMU was $2,000. So you both know my mom, and she was like, I love you, baby, but
you better.
Yeah, I gotta know where the money's at. So I went to CMU, and she was very reassuring about it, because my first time on campus was the day of orientation.
Okay.
So it was me, my uncle, and my grandma. They did all the parent stuff. I did all, my student onboarding, and I just ran with it. They said, if you don't like CMU, you could come back home and we could figure out plan B, but I stuck with it and never left.
All right.
All
good.
right.
It's funny. CMU, I almost went to CMU.
Really?
Yeah. The reason why I didn't go is because I took my SATs so late because I thought I was going to school out of state, and so I didn't need the money, so I took it. And by the time I enrolled, applied for CMU, they had a record enrollment of freshmen that year.
Oh, okay.
So I missed out because of that number. The money would have been there for me, quite a bit of money, because I scored high in my biology portions of the test, whatever that is. And so I wound up at Western.
Well, hey, that's still good though. Main thing you went. So
yeah. Okay, so let me ask you. You graduate, you get your master's, and in the time between bachelor's and master's, were you just strictly going to school, or were you working as well?
I was working. So at one point in undergrad, I was working 2 jobs on campus. So that was a lot to juggle and maneuver between. And there was one point, I got to be honest, where I was working a little bit more than going to class to make sure, I had the money that I needed. So balancing all of that, that was pretty difficult, but it was doable. I worked at the front desk of my dorm, so that was super simple. So if you needed, UPS came and dropped off your package, I would give it to you. If your toilet was clogged up, I would put in a request for you. Okay. And then I was the receptionist at the front desk of the career center. So that gave me, exposure to companies I never heard of before,
all right,
positions I never heard of before, and I was the first person that they saw when they came to campus. So a lot of times when I would set stuff up, I would say Matthew Warren will greet you in the office, blah, blah, blah. And then they will walk in and ask for Matthew. And I said, well, I'm Matthew. And they're like, oh, you're Matthew. And I'm like, yeah.
You don't look like you sound.
Again.
Yeah. But then in between undergrad going into grad school, I knew that was like my last summer of like freedom to do whatever I wanted to do. So I went to upstate New York and I became a camp counselor. And when I got to the camp, I found out it was a Jewish summer camp. So did not know that it was Jewish. So I had to go to Shabbat. I had to, get down with all the Jewish, cultures and all of that over 2 months. So that was a very eye-opening experience as well too. Working, with families of privilege, I was just like, wow, there were little kids that were just learning how to ride a bike because they lived in high rises in New York. So this was the first time like out in nature. So, being from Detroit, I'm like, oh, I'm used to, going to Belle Isle or
right.
all of that. And these kids are like, oh my God, like, what is this nature stuff? So it was a big, adjustment. So that was my nice, relaxing, somewhat relaxing summer before going to grad school.
Right.
Wow,
right.
that was very interesting.
Yeah. And right. And you got a chance to get a full taste of diversity.
Yes. Definitely, yeah. At CMU, I was a multicultural scholar, so I did make it a point to be in a lot of diverse groups and take all those opportunities at CMU. So with that, I was able to study abroad in Costa Rica while I was an undergrad. So that was my first time flying. 5-hour flight across the Gulf of Mexico for your first flight, I don't recommend. But we made it though, so that was a good trip.
Yeah. And so well, let's talk about that real quick. And so while you were down in Costa Rica, what did you experience?
People thought I was Costa Rican. That was first thing. Yeah. So people will walk up to me and speak in Spanish. In the little Spanish I knew, I was able to say, no, I'm American. And then we were all divided into different service learning groups. And mine was about HIV and AIDS. So I had to talk about AIDS in the US, how people lived with the disease, different types of treatment options. And then there was a translator that worked with me. But in Costa Rica, there is no doctor-patient confidentiality. So you could be in the grocery store and that clerk will know that you have HIV.
Oh, wow.
So, I educated them about how it's more guarded in the US and your information isn't out there like that. And then at the end of my presentation, I remember there was a doctor that came up to me and she actually said that she was an HIV and AIDS doctor and she had it herself. So seeing an American come and try to educate their culture about it was very inspiring for her to go back and help the community be better.
Oh, wow.
Wonderful.
So you touching people all over the world. That's what you're saying. Wonderful.
Oh, look at this diversity.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
wonderful.
I mean, Matthew, though, before you went down there, did you have to choose the topic that you?
No, they pre-assigned us when we got there.
Okay.
The HIV and AIDS topic. Then there was one about women that came from battered households with children.
Okay.
So for them. And then there was one about youth sports. Whatever Michelle Obama's like Play 60
Right.
with youth activity, we took that to Costa Rica and did youth sports with her.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Wow.
Wonderful.
Yeah. That's nice.
I'm telling you.
Okay, so I'm starting to feel insignificant.
Oh, I know. I was like, oh my goodness. My life was not that exciting at this age. At that age.
No. I was worried about making the class on time in the morning. That was the best I could do. Okay, so then you, after graduation, you started out as assistant director of undergraduate admissions.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So I actually started that in my last month of grad school. So I got hired April 3rd and then graduation was May 4th. So that first month, I don't really remember because I was trying to do all my final assignments for grad school. So I wanted to get away from CMU because I wanted to get other experiences. So I applied to a few other schools, but thankfully CMU did accept me for the position. So I was responsible for Flint, Saginaw, and the Thumb. So the whole east side of the state. I recruited. So I was out in the Penn Conning area, out in like the cornfields recruiting at schools. I was in the suburbs, I was in the city, I was at the Catholic school, I was everywhere. So that opened up my eyes a lot to seeing how different my Renaissance education was to other students, because, I said, well, I went to a public school, I can help other public school students get into college.
Right.
Not the same. I remember recruiting in Saginaw, and I remember giving out a scholarship application to a group of students, and then they filled it out and said, well, here's my application to Central. And I said, no, flip it over. It says multicultural scholarship application. And if you read the fourth line, you have to mail this in and submit your transcript with your Central application.
Right.
So I felt that I was in my area to really take the time and break down the information to our people, to really help them understand. And there were definitely a lot of non-Black first generation students that didn't know what to do. I remember my first day, it was a rural school that I was at, and the young guy comes up to me, he said, well, my parents said I need to do something with my hands. And I said, well, you could do a lot. You could be an artist, you could be an engineer, you could do graphic design. There's a lot. And he said, well, whatever I could build stuff with. So that really helped me to see that, yes, college is obtainable for everyone, but you got to water it down for everyone's level to understand.
Yes.
So I did do that. So that was great doing. One of my coworkers, Kayla Harbor Bates, got a name dropper because she went to Cass. So
all right. Yeah. We got to name drop her.
Got to drop the technicians in.
That's right.
So we always had a rivalry back and forth. So us being from Detroit at CMU, we were often tapped to cover Detroit events together. So we were able to take students from CMU that were from Detroit back home for a in-person recruitment event. So they helped to recruit the students. They helped to process their applications. Going to the NAACP conference, that was crazy because there was a separate day just for a college fair for us to connect with the students.
Right.
Every other table was at HBCU that had an alumni from the university. And then I'm standing there with the University of Michigan. So I'm like, okay, we're not really supposed to be here, but we're here. So that was a good experience. So working in admissions, I saw some of everything. I planned dinners for students in Saginaw and Flint for their families to connect with professors before coming to campus. I invited people to campus to come for personal tours. We set up different types of events with them. I trained there's a group called the Michigan College Advisors or MCAN Advisors. I trained those group of students on CMU when they came to campus. When the pandemic came, I did a lot of virtual stuff. So they kind of gave me a lot of good experiences that led to where I'm at now.
Right. Sounds like it.
Matthew, that's a lot. I did not have no type of experience like that when I was going to school when I first started.
Right. And so I'm going to assume, well, you said it, but I'm going to voice it out loud myself, that it was very rewarding.
Yes, it was. It was. And it showed me that there was more for me to do here for our people when they come to campus. Because
exactly.
I am the only, we have people from Flint, we have people from Saginaw, but that's an hour away. But I am the only male from Detroit that's a young professional at my age. So anytime that there would be a guy on campus, I would stop them, ask them where they're from, give them my business card. They would come to my office. And even though I only worked in admissions, I was like, I can connect you to things outside. If you're having an issue with a professor, we could talk about that. There were some guys that needed clothes, just to make it through the winter because they didn't bring everything with them. So, I could help get them a few things. So I just really felt that was, super rewarding to be able to help and give.
You ain't kidding. And you were so personal.
Sounds like it. But I mean, I get,
we do need that.
Right. And I guess it helps with everything we talked about earlier about your background, that actually played a major role in you being able to be so forthcoming with the students that you were running into.
Mm-hmm.
It's, as far as being a first generation college student, African-American, church background, city of Detroit.
You were able to reach out, extend the hand, and just show them the rope. Because like you said, most of them don't have that, especially if, in your family and you're first generation, you don't have that information.
Right. And when I started, our Black population was so small that you knew who lived where, who dated who worked where, who drove a car. Now, it's tripled in size. But I remember going into my first political science lecture, my professor was an Indian. And I looked and I said, I don't know how I'm going to do this. So then I look over at the guy next to me. He's a junior. I look at the girl next to me. She's a junior. Everyone was retaking that class for the second time.
Oh,
and
wow.
I passed it after one time. And no one wanted to help me because I was the only student of color in the class. So I sat up front. I tried to, decode my professor the best way that I could. And I learned to say things back to him how I heard him say it. And
correct.
Then if he did something wrong, I was able to correct him and then understand. So yeah, all those first few weeks of trying to figure out stuff, I wanted to avoid that for other people and help them through.
Right.
Yeah.
So did you take a communication class while you were at Central?
I took a theater speaking class. It was one of my university required classes. So I had to recite. Well, they said remember a speech, but they didn't know Lift Every Voice was a song. So I made it poem. So I got up and recited Lift Every Voice and sing as if it was a poem.
Well, because most of them had never heard it before anyway.
Yeah. They didn't hear that before.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's a Black anthem, so yeah.
Well, I asked you that because, right now in the class I'm in now is communications class. And everything that you just said about what you did in that class with the professor that's communications 101. Mm-hmm. Is what they teach you to make sure that you understand what they said and
repeat it back to them.
Yeah, exactly. And so everything that you did was perfect, and the reason why you passed and the rest of them didn't.
Right.
Is this what I'm saying? Is this what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. And I got that from church because I went to tutoring at church from 3rd grade to 12th grade.
Okay.
So Deacon Helen Malone, I consider her as a grandma now. I remember talking with her before leaving and going. She said, she talked about a story when she was in college and she had a foreign professor that she didn't understand. And she would write down words that he said that she didn't understand. Mm-hmm. And then she went back to him and said, well, you said this, what does this mean? So yeah, all the little tips from church helped out.
Well, and you know what, Ms. Malone also was one of my helpers with after school program too in my classroom. Mm-hmm.
Right. So it goes to show you though that, and we talked about this before, how much how much of an impact people can have on somebody's life
Mhm.
just by caring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just by caring. I mean, you know, she took the time to give you those tidbits, and you immediately were able to put them to use.
Yeah.
And it worked out great for you. And then you were able to then turn around and pay it forward to all the folks that you came in contact with.
Exactly.
So that's great.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So what made you transition away from the admissions portion?
I wanted to get more experiences on campus. I'm not gonna lie, the pandemic did wipe me out working. Normally prior to traveling, you would go to anywhere from 3 to 4 school visits a day. That kind of morphed into 5 to 7 because you're virtual.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
jumping in and out of the Zoom rooms, and then we were asked to come back to work in June because, you know, we're connected to enrollment. So enrollment was down. We needed bodies in our seats on campus. So we had to give campus presentations. So, you know, interacting with the public like that, I wasn't, you know, the most comfortable with, but I still made it work.
Mhm.
But I wanted to come back to the Career Center because there was no representation in the office for multicultural first generation students. There were opportunities there, but the dots weren't being fully connected. So since I was a multicultural scholar, I was able to work with the multicultural office, and now the junior students are required to meet with our office as their scholarship requirement.
Okay.
So I wanted to make sure I could make sure that they not only got in the door and across the graduation stage, that they graduated and got a job with their degree.
Yes.
So being back in the office once the opportunity opened, you know, I said, why not? You know, if I didn't get it, I'll be okay. I did apply for other positions outside of admissions at CMU, but didn't get it. So I said, okay, I'm gonna finish my time here. But when this went through, I ran with it. So I interviewed and everything in the pandemic. I actually interviewed on the day of a blizzard.
Ooh.
Yeah. So getting a haircut in Mount Pleasant is very difficult. I found a closer barber, but I would have to drive to Saginaw. So got up, drove an hour to Saginaw, had a 40-minute haircut, drove an hour back. So 3 hours in the snow. Came home, put on my suit, walked into the room, aced the interview, and then I started on February 22nd. So I've been in for 6 months now.
Okay.
So
Great.
has this been a class that's always been at the school, or was just something that was created?
The class has always been there.
Okay.
Multicultural scholarship has always been, and they have their own living and learning residential community on campus. So all of the multicultural scholars live within one hall. So that was great in itself too. Because when I first started, my 2 roommates were Hispanic. I lived across from a Native American person because CMU does have a large Native American population. So I was able to learn all of that. Being in the scholarship program, I learned that not every Black person is from Detroit. I met a girl that said she was from Holland, and I was like, "Oh wow, there's Black people in Holland." She said, "No, Holland, Michigan," and I was like, "Where is that?" More cities outside of Detroit.
Right. She a little closer to home.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to go to Holland?
No, I have not. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I haven't either. I know where it is. I just never went.
I just the tulips. That's all I got from Holland is the tulips and the windmill. So
Yeah. Well, because you talk about the diversity of the population when you were there, so you can imagine what it was when I was about to go there and wound up not going. It was probably 1/10 of what it is now.
Okay, yeah, very limited.
Very limited. Right. So so the pathways, how what are the challenges with that program? Let's
a big challenge I would say is having students that haven't been in school for like the last year and a half. Because putting it in big picture, the students that are freshmen now, the last time that they were in school for a full year was when they were a sophomore in high school.
Wow.
So there's a lot of, you know, technical skills that they are, you know, lacking. Some of the social interaction, it's there, but it's not as strong as I've seen it before. And a lot of the students coming back, they have to navigate campus in a mask, and then you get exposed to someone and you don't know if you're sick. So CMU right now, our policy is that your nose, sniffles, and drips, even if you don't have COVID, you're quarantining for an amount of time.
Right.
So some students are there, some students are not there. I have a student in my class that is in the midst of a gender transition. That's very new for me to work with, especially talking with them about applying for a job, because they're a female transitioning to a male. So legally, when they fill out everything, they have to go by their female name, but that's triggering for them. So trying to have conversations with them, well, what is that employer going to say when they call you by your legal name? Or, in a lot of professional settings, at least at Central, there's a portion of your application that you could put your preferred name. So if my name's Travion, I could put Trey. But if you're transitioning in the professional world, there's no preferred name on the application. They might shorten your name if you say it, but just trying to, work with students over that. And then just making the students feel acclimated, because I remember being in their shoes and being nervous and figure everything out, but it's just so scary right now going out and trying to talk to people and connect with people. And then, you had a friend that was here the year before and then they're back at home. So just a lot of students are trying to get reconnected over the last. So we've had a lot of events to help with that though.
Right. It's funny you said that because before I retired, I had an employee who they did a reorganization that became my employee. Excuse me, and they were just coming back from a gender transition, and so they, once you go through the process, then changing your name is just a matter of doing legal paperwork. But I understand what you're saying. In the process of it, there ain't no change, so it becomes a problem because again, they want to be identified as who they want to be identified at, and there's no mechanism in there. So yeah, that's a lot to deal with.
Yeah, so it's some good struggles and some bad struggles, but we're making it so far. Today was the end. Well, today was my class for week 4, and today's topic was motivation and how you stay motivated in class and how do you motivate others going throughout and whatnot. So each week, there's a book that we're reading called "Teaching Yourself How to Learn," and it goes over different study techniques and tactics for students.
All right.
Wow, that's definitely helpful.
And so how often do you spend in the classroom setting?
Once a week on Wednesdays from 2 to 2:50. So if you want to drop in my class, you can. Only teach for 15 minutes. So, but I do have a few meetings outside of class. There's a group of 4 instructors all together that we're the FYE classes. So we have our own planning meetings, and then I do have a teaching assistant as well. And I meet with her to go over, the week and the assignments and whatnot.
Okay.
Wow.
So are you like a mentor to her?
I guess so. I don't know. I like the research.
That's your assistant.
So hey, she gotta
you're motivating and inspiring her.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, without a doubt.
But this is her 3rd year teaching, so she's been teaching me a lot of stuff. So yeah.
Right.
That's true.
So she's your assistant, but she's probably your mentor.
Yeah. On some days. So.
Right. Well, yeah, because the truth of the matter is we can learn something from everybody we come in contact with if we take the time to do it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, cool. So let me see here. What do I want to ask you? Well, let's do this. We got some time left. Good. We're just halfway through. The question of the day, we talked about this.
Right.
Is there something that you discovered on your journey, and it probably is because just where you went, that your mother didn't get a chance to prepare you for or tell you about?
The biggest thing that I would have to say that she never told me was that people would say my ambition is a threat.
That's a new one.
That was huge hearing that for the first time. And it was actually my mentor that told me about it. Stan Shingles, he's one of our assistant vice presidents at CMU. Very, very great guy. He's from Chicago. So every Labor Day weekend, there's a Chicago barbecue at his house. So he's very, very connected to the student. So he takes care. So yeah, if a student needs to learn how to barbecue, he'll get you on a grill, get you going. I unfortunately have upgraded from eating to serving at the event. Now that I'm a professional. But there was a situation that I had on campus. I had applied for a position, and I was not told that I did not get the position until it was being announced in a staff meeting. And they hired someone outside of CMU, and they didn't have as much experience as I did, but we were able to be friends. You know, we overcame it and everything. But I just remember I was so upset, you know, talking with him how, you know, well, I worked so hard in office and I proved myself and all this and that. He said, well, some people, your ambition is a threat and they don't know how to handle it. And I looked at him, I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, well, Matthew, when you come into a room and you have these ideas and these questions and you talk in this way, you know, there's some people that don't like that because they can't be that.
Wow.
So then I was like, okay, not everyone can be me. So how can I make others be comfortable with me? So I just kept on doing what I do. You know, I come in, go around, say good morning to everyone, you know, fist bump, shake hands, whatever. I come into the office every day and say good morning. You know, I didn't, that was uncommon to do. You know, at church, you know, we go around and show some love. So we take out
That's right.
5 minutes to go and shake hands, say how you're doing, all that. So I was already so accustomed to that. And I just did that to let people know that I was, you know, here. You know, there's some days when I get to work and I'm like, well, so-and-so here, have you seen them? Their car's in the parking lot, but where are they? But just coming in and saying, you know, good morning, all of that was a basic thing that I thought was normal. But yeah, she never told me that my ambition would be a threat. You know, she always encouraged me to, you know, do the best I could at things. If there was something I couldn't figure out, there was always a plan, you know, B, C, D, E, F, if necessary. You know, my uncles always pushed me to do everything. Maybe because I'm the baby of the family. So, you know, go and run, do what you want to do. But hearing that my ambition would be a threat in college, I was just, you know, wow. And that was most motivation for me, because, you know, I went through grad school, I've done all these things, and, you know, my ambition can't be contained.
That's right. That's right.
Well, you know what? An educated Black man has always been a threat.
Always.
Always.
And you know, and the sad truth is that I wonder if the people you were a threat to then didn't look like you. But your ambition is a threat to everybody. Well, not everybody, but to a lot of people, especially those who don't want to do any more than what they have to do, if I can put it that way, and just skate by. Whereas here you come in with ideas. How dare you have ideas, and you're young and you got education and you want to learn more and you want to help and you want to do this and that. How dare you?
And not only that, you're pushing it to other young men.
Right. We would do,
so that's just a
we were doing fine till you came.
Yeah.
right. And then a big challenge too is working with other young men when they come to campus, you know, because, you know, they're like, well, Matthew, I just can't walk in the room and turn it on like you. And I'm like, well, you know, it's one moment, you know, when we together as bros and homies, you know, we gonna talk a certain way then. But then you have to be able to go into that professional setting and say, hello, how are you doing? My name is Matthew Warren. I'm an assistant director of employee relations. You got to be able to know how to maneuver between both glasses of water. Not everyone can do that. So I've been really trying to help, you know, other young guys as they come to college. You know, you have to understand that, yes, you know, you're Detroit through and through, you're Flint, Saginaw, wherever through and through. But when you're in that professional setting and you go from being the majority to the minority, you have to prove yourself. You have to talk the language. You got to think like them. You got to move like them. You got to be a step ahead. So that's been a struggle because a lot of guys, you know, they'll come up and say, well, like, dang, man, you just walked up to that person and asked them a question. I'm like, yeah, I didn't know what I needed. I just went and said, hey, can you give me this information? And I got it.
Right. Yeah, there you go. And I guess for a lot of young men who, especially going to college, maybe their first time being around so many Caucasians, first time, it can be intimidating because
any diversity,
because the world tells us that we don't belong.
Right.
We belong back on the street corner, you know, doing illegal activities and not trying to become a better person. So
right. And they'll try to limit you as well because there was Diversity Council was created in the midst of Black Lives Matter and all that stuff. Diversity Council was created. Email goes out about it, and I messaged my boss, who was Hispanic in admissions, Patricia Young. Messaged Patty, and I said, "Hey, I'm very interested in being a part of the organization. I'm on the committee," and she said, "Great, I'll recommend your name." All of that. The response back was, "Oh, well, we don't want Matthew because he doesn't have a high enough title." And I said, "Well, I'm brown, and this is a diversity council.
Right.
So you need to have representation on the council." So then they said, "Oh, no, we need someone of a higher position and a higher title." And I said, "Well, what does my title have to do with anything?" So I just learned that anyone would try to find a way to stop you. If they see
Sure.
you're and trying to climb, they'll be like, "Nope, not you, not now, not today. Try tomorrow." So you just got to learn how to maneuver around and keep going.
Right. Yeah. Crazy.
Yes.
And it's funny, one of our earlier guests, do you remember Jasmine, my daughter? My daughter. Okay, one of her friends from school, she was working the diversity. She was actually the liaison for the diversity council at school down in Florida.
Okay.
And she since moved on to work with one of the municipalities down there, but she was doing the same thing. And she was on here and she told us about the challenges that she had.
Yeah, she had a lot of pushback and backlash and underhanded.
Right, because I think she was working with the Greeks too.
Okay.
Yeah. So
but that has own challenges within itself. Being, a Black Greek at a PWI, they have houses, we don't have houses. Why is that? All that stuff. Yeah.
All that. So what do you see yourself doing from moving forward?
So that's a great question.
Yeah, because we know this is not your dream job.
Oh, I know. This is just the start. The start. So right now I see myself stepping out from higher education. I would say within the next year and a half. It's been great working at a university, don't get me wrong, but I feel that there's more that could be done in corporate America that then could be carried back into a university. So all of the corporate relations and the relationships and the programming that I'm doing now, I could do that for any company that I've been working with. So I thought in corporate relations, I thought about some type of way, if there is such a position open, working in a diversity position at a university. But I do want to move down south at some point. Sorry, Mom, we did talk about this before I said it. But at some point, I would like to move down south. I do have a good friend that works at the University of South Florida. So potentially I could get down there. Reverend Montgomery's grandson, Joseph Sharp, we're good friends. We grew up together. He's in Boston. So I work at his university in Boston. So I have friends in other higher education areas. I just have to figure out where I want to go. But I feel like I'm getting pulled out of education, but I'll be back at some point.
Okay. Because I don't think, well, you tell me, was it with the career path you're on right now, the things you've been doing, was that your goal when you went to school?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. No, I actually wanted to go to school for law. I wanted to be a probate attorney. So I wanted to be like the guy on TV when Mrs. Jenkins died and she has $1 million and read the will and all that. That's what I thought I would do because I interned at a law firm and I hated it. No one spoke to me. I had a few assignments, but everyone looked over me because I wasn't a law student. And everyone, no matter where I've been, everyone was like, well, you're so young. Well, I was a junior working at a law firm downtown Detroit. So that was unheard of. So I had that experience. And then I worked for a state representative, Rudy Hobbs. He's a member.
Yes. I know Rudy.
Yeah, that was a good experience, seeing what it would look like to be, a representative in politics like that. But the internship that I had that strayed me away from law was when I worked for a federal judge downtown Detroit. And we went on a men's prison tour. And walking through a prison with a judge and watching the officers give signals to the inmates for them to walk the other direction and seeing the chairs wrapped up with, tape and cloth so they don't turn it into a weapon. I really thought like, wow, I need to do something to deter people from this because almost everybody in here looks like me. So I really, thought like, well, what can I do to make sure that, people know their options and they can understand their worth and what they can do. So I stuck with education. I liked the aspect of being involved in programs on campus. So I didn't know that you could do that as a job. So I was able to, coordinate some things and do what I did as a student and plan those things as a professional. So that's been very eye-opening to do that. But long story short, originally I did want to go to law school, but it was too expensive. It was a little too pricey. And CMU paid for my master's, so I wasn't going to turn down a free degree. So
oh wow, right, without a doubt. Yeah, take that money. Right. So, but
you've been so impactful on other folks' lives. So
yeah.
Hey, you chose the right way. I could tell the Lord was leading you. That's
Exactly.
Sure.
That was what I was about to say. Exactly what I was about to say. Because it sounds, just listening to your story, it sounds like every step of the way, you were guided in the direction to show you what you needed to do, and also show you what you didn't need to do. You don't need to do this. You really don't. You really want to do this because you don't want to be the one that's responsible for anything to do with people that's in here.
Right.
But you do want to not make sure as many as you can help don't get there. Yeah.
Right, definitely. And I think a big contribution to that is my Uncle Brian. He's my goddad. So off the cuff, I do call him dad to his face. I just remember talking with him one day and he was like, well, Wayne State is not an option. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, you can't come back home to the crib. You got to stay up there and figure it out. So I was like, okay. Let's figure it out. So, calls home, text home. Before my grandma passed, I got her to, get comfortable She wasn't the best with it, but I was able to get her to FaceTime, a few times. So really having that strong family foundation. And then, definitely coming home to church, seeing you two, Jason and Ashley, my people coming home and recharging. That definitely helped out a lot too. And then, everyone at church has just been so, motivating and, reassuring. There's people that I don't even think are thinking about me that, have texted me and said, oh, I'm praying for you, felt something going on. I'm just like, wow, one of my friends on campus, he's a minister outside of work. And there was a day he, messaged me and I was really, having a few challenges, trying to master my position. And then the start of the semester and trying to figure out some processes for things. And he just called me into his office and, was like, the Lord told me to pray for you today. And I was like, wow. Like I didn't vocalize it, but Jesus knew I needed it.
How encouraging.
Yeah. So I've been able to find, those pockets and places that have kept me sane throughout the process.
Right. Well, he knows what you need and he knows when you need it. Yes. And the key is that we got to be in tune enough and humble enough to accept that help when it comes. I think that's where a lot of our people go wrong is that the help comes and they're too proud to accept it. And then there are some that are too proud to even express that they need it.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I struggled with that a little bit being in college because, being at New Prospect, church was Wednesday through Sunday. Some Bible study, choir practice. If there was an event, I was photographer,
Right.
Everything at church. So then coming to college without a church environment where I'm comfortable, like the church I go to here, y'all, they have donut holes and apple juice and coffee and tea in the lobby, and you could take it in the sanctuary. I was like, wow, you can in Detroit. So, going through all those things, I struggled. I was like, wow, I don't feel connected spiritually. But then, getting older, I had to realize, church is just the building that we gather, but you're in you and you carry it with you.
Yes.
So really, learning to grow and all of that. And then, sometimes, I gotta be honest, as a young guy, sometimes, I'm a little apprehensive talking about, how I'm a believer because I don't really see a lot of young people my age, like that. But then, I tell students that I meet that are believers, you can still have fun, in college,
Of course.
Right.
4 years, now be smart in what you do, but you can still, go out, have a good time. You could go on spring break, make some memories, do everything you want to do, but be smart in it. But then don't forget where you came from and who you are.
That's right.
Be careful.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Well, sound like you were taught very well.
That's all I know. And then, like you said,
mamas and daddies and aunties and uncles.
Oh, I know it. That's right.
So,
so Matthew, what do you like to do in your spare time if you have it?
So in my spare time, I bike. I just got a road bike. That's a new hobby. The furthest I've gotten, I did 7 miles on Saturday.
Okay.
And my legs didn't like me Sunday.
You were doing too much at one time.
Definitely. So we're easing into biking, going to the gym. We do have a campus gym and then a local gym. So, if I can't get to one of my mentees during the day, I'll go to the gym with them at night. So actively working out. And then I am a mentor to a men's group on campus called Men About Change. They meet on Thursday nights from 5 to 6. So that's for all. It started out for just, young men of color, but then, we expanded to, the first generation multicultural men. Some of our, non-blacks, they needed that support and those resources.
Sure they do. Sure they do.
Yep. So I'm active in that. But pretty much beyond that, I'm at home trying to sleep and cook. I have grown into a little bit of a chef Matt.
All right, Chef Matt.
So I'm trying to master my chicken wings in my air fryer. So
well, I love my air fryer. I use it every day.
Oh, okay. Well, you have to give me some tips.
Right. And excuse me. Didn't you tell me that you were thinking about getting into golf? Did you tell me that?
Not thinking. I want to. I just have to come home and do it.
Yes. Right. Because we were supposed to went out. Was a couple years ago, wasn't it?
Yep. Because there was recently this summer there was a College of Business golf outing, and I got asked to go, and I said, well, I didn't get my lessons from Damon, so I'm not gonna go out here and not look correct. So so I'm waiting on that. But yes, golf, you owe me one game.
As soon as you come back and ready to do it. Well, the weather's changing now, so.
Well, right. We'll wait till next year when it's warmer.
So. But I'll say this though, if you're really serious about doing it, I'm sure the Central has something where they teach golf. I'm sure they do.
Yep, they have golf classes. So as an employee, I do get free classes.
Oh my God, go take those classes.
Time for that. So so gonna do the golf classes, and then we are getting a golf team, a men's golf team is coming to campus.
Okay.
Wonderful. Now you see why they scared of you.
Yes.
You see why they fear you, Matthew.
Yeah.
Right. So that's good. So do that, because if nothing else, it's fun. It's fun stress.
Yeah.
It's fun stress.
I have gone golfing twice. I did golfing when I worked at the summer camp in New York. Went with some of the guys there, and then in Mount Pleasant, I went glow golfing. That was very cool, because once you hit the ball off 20-30 yards, you got to go and find it in the dirt. So yeah. And
if you don't hit it straight, it's even harder.
Yeah.
It's hard to find it in the daylight. Wow. And so sounds like you're trying to live a rounded life. And I would say just keep doing what you're doing. Keep praying, keep staying active, and you'll get where you want to be. You'll definitely get where you need to be. and hopefully the two of those things intersect.
Yes.
So, Tynia, you got anything else you want to ask?
You know what I was going to say, how social was, but I'm like, my goodness, he doing so much time.
Right.
Oh, so many things. But no, I just wanted to know what he did in his spare time, because he's a very big, all work and no play.
That's right.
Right. I make time for play on the weekends. So
okay.
I do come down and see, like this past weekend, one of my friends came, my friend that works at the University of South Florida, Cyrus.
Okay.
He came home to surprise his mom for her birthday. So, I do come home on the weekends and, see family and friends. I have a godson in Lansing that's 4. So I go.
Okay.
Oh, wonderful.
And his mom and I went to CMU together. So.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
That is wonderful. Yeah. So you getting well rounded.
Yeah, real. Without a doubt. And so if they're now, because this we're doing this live on Facebook, but we're also going to be posted on our YouTube channel and on all the podcast sites. So this is going to be historical information. So is there anything else that you want to share that you haven't shared already, or something that you might want to reiterate before we close out?
I'm here for anyone, of course, that wants to go to college, and not just Central Michigan. Our church did have at one point an active college ministry. Don't know where that's at. Would love to see a college fair at the church. Greater Grace has one. That's a huge one that I used to have to go through. Not Greater Grace, sorry, Second Ebenezer.
Okay.
That was a huge one I had to go to for CMU. So I'm here to help anyone, whether you're, of college age or older, looking at universities and understanding, the resources and the things that you need to go through the process, because it's hard if you don't know, and it's hard, when you're scared and you have those questions and you don't know what to do. So definitely here for anyone with that. And then I just, want to add to, you just got to live in the moment. Trust yourself. You're in the position on purpose. That's what I tell myself every day. I'm in position on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You got to trust the process. Not every day is going to be perfect. You're going to have some bumps and bruises along the way, but you don't know what's at the end of that tunnel. So
that's right.
Working forward through everything.
Yes. All right.
Well, like God's plan would not be thwarted. We know that.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And that's
even suffering is for a reason. You know what I'm saying? It's for a reason.
Right.
Because you're gonna impact somebody in the end.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a reason.
Without a doubt. And so I like that the college fair and New Prospect thing. I wrote that down. And I don't know if Doc Esther, any of them are listening, but if they are, let's try to work on that.
Right. Or, at least if we can't do a college fair, restarting the college ministry. I don't know where that's at now, but we need to start with our freshmen. It's great with juniors and seniors and all that. Now that I've been in admissions and I see everything and I know the exact number of classes that students need to get the full ride scholarships, all these little tidbits that I have, I could give it back. So, as a freshman, you can come and do a campus visit. You should go to all the colleges that you're interested in. And then, junior, senior year, you nail it. Sophomore and junior year, you nail it down. A lot of people don't realize all of the college scholarship applications, they close in December and January. People think they close in April and May. So all this little stuff that I've gotten, I want to be able to give it back.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Excuse me. And they need to know that. They really need to know that. Because excuse me, but like I was saying with my instance, why I didn't wind up going to Central is because of when I applied.
Right. The timing.
I applied after they still let me apply, but I applied so late in the year that
all the funds were gone.
Well, no, the funds, some funds were gone, but Central was going to give me some money. The state funds were about gone because I didn't get any money from the state, but Central was going to give me some money, but they had a ridiculous amount of students apply that year. And so they could only accept so many people. It's just like for those out there who apply for Cass, Renaissance, and King, they can only accept so many students.
Right.
So many kids go to Cass, not because they're so smart, but because King and Renaissance have a limited amount of spots. Right. Cass has more spots than them. That's all it is. So, hey, get them numbers in. We need to know all that stuff. And so we're going to work. I'm going to do my part to at least talk to folks at church to see if we can get those things in place and see what's happening with them. I don't want to be the leader of them, but at least
anybody listening.
Yeah.
Right.
But we need to talk about trying to get those things back in play or at least find out where they are. And so with that, if there's nothing else you have, Matthew, nothing else to you?
No, that was it. I'm gonna just stay in the after school program, helping our children.
We're helping build future me's. So
That's right.
Exactly, because they definitely are our future leaders.
Yeah.
Right. So we definitely appreciate you coming on here. I like what I'm hearing about what you're doing, but we expected nothing less.
You're amazing.
Yes. Got to set the bar high and keep everybody happy. So
and keep yourself happy.
There you go. You the main thing. You the main thing.
Right. Don't let pressure make you do something you don't want to do.
But like you say, as long as you're paying it forward, you're truly going to be successful.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're truly going to be successful.
All righty. Appreciate you for coming on.
Love you.
All right, thank you so much. It was great.
Yeah.
Good seeing you both.
Right. And like I said, let's we can't do it this, but when the weather break, let's get out there on that golf course.
Okay.
All
I'll
right.
hold you to it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Matthew. I love you. I appreciate you.
Love you too. Thank
Good
you.
All right, love you.
conversation.
Take care now.
All right.
Bye-bye.